There's a couple billion people in the world, and a million other places we could be, but you're here with me. Take a moment just to take it in, 'cause every high and every low led to this. I'm just so glad you exist.
Back. In this video I'm going to do a Q&A that's specifically directed towards IVF. If you're not interested in IVF, this is not a video for you. However, I do have loads of other videos, feel free to check them out. But yeah, in this video we're going to do 10 questions on IVF. So first up we have, when do you start prepping your body for egg retrieval? Now, to be honest, I think this varies from person to person. It depends when you want to start. It also depends on your body. However, they do recommend stopping alcohol amongst other things within like 3 months before your egg retrieval. Now, for me personally, I have done that 3 months, and you know, there are people that, like, if we use alcohol as an example, they drink up until egg retrieval because you're not pregnant. Like, you can drink, however, there are studies out there that say, like, different things affects the quality of eggs. So for me personally, I stopped drinking. I didn't drink a lot anyway. I also started incorporating the Mediterranean diet. Now, this is an anti-inflammatory diet. It's not guaranteed. I think an important thing to say with IVF is nothing's guaranteed. Like, you can do all the things in the world and unfortunately you can still have a bad outcome. And just like you can do absolutely nothing and you could have a good outcome. It is honestly your preference. What I will say is don't put pressure on yourself. It's so easy to put pressure on yourself in this situation. Yeah, try not to do that. Another thing that I've incorporated into my kind of prep towards egg retrieval is I use a hot water bottle on my belly, and this is meant to help the circulation around the uterus. I also have got like a little foot spa thing. It's more to pamper myself, to be honest, to calm myself. So I just have, even if it's 10 minutes, it's something that's directly to do with my body and making me feel better. Like, it's nothing to do with technically IVF in that moment. It's literally just something to make me feel good. And I think that is important, like really important. Like, we can sit here and be like, you're on this schedule, this schedule, this schedule, and once you start getting into IVF, it is like that. It is very much like you have all these appointments, you have all these people to chase. Sometimes you just need 10 minutes to yourself. That has got absolutely nothing to do with it. However, does obviously help benefit in the long run. Hopefully, like I said, nothing is guaranteed with IVF. But yeah, so I try and pamper myself a little bit. I personally have not stopped like certain products. I know that some people are very much like paraben free, all different things like that. I've tried not to obsess on different things. It's very easy to do that, especially with autism. It's easy to hyperfixate, that is what it's called. So I have tried to avoid that as much as I possibly can. And instead of focusing on things that are going to stress me out, which is like, is this product okay? Is this meal okay? Is this okay? Which it does get like that. It is very easy to get into that cycle. I've kind of just decided, like, right, my diet is very much veggie packed anyway. However, you know, I do have a stoma. I do have some limitations with food, not major limitations, but I do have some. And, you know, again, I don't want to stress myself out. I don't want to hyperfixate. So for me, I've focused on making meals that are healthy or have like some items of the Mediterranean diet in them. However, not obsessing with it 24/7. So if I want a Chinese to like celebrate a milestone in this journey, I'll have a Chinese. Like, I'm not going to punish my body or say to myself, like, you can't have this, you can't have this, you can't have this, because it's going to drive you fucking crazy. Like, I promise you, it will drive you crazy. And there's enough situations in IVF that will drive you crazy on their own. You don't need to help it. So I started incorporating bits of exercise. Boot fairs are started back up, and that's something I do with my grandparents. So every Sunday is my like bigger exercise day. I do have limitations. I'm not going into this as an able-bodied woman. You know, I do have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. I do have fibromyalgia, amongst 101 other things. I can't necessarily do what loads of other people can do. So instead of pushing my body to extremes, which is not going to help me, because if you're kind of going out this normal thing that you're normally in, so say you work out 2 times a week, you up it to every single day, that's your body has to get used to that, plus the hormones, plus the egg retrieval. You know, arguably that might not be helpful. So instead of going, again, obsessive with it, instead of going to the extreme, me and the boys, we do our little walk around the block. There are 3 of them, so I technically have 3 different walks, and it's good to get some air into my lungs, and you know, that bit of exercise, that's enough. Like that's, you know, for my body, personally me, that's enough. And then like I said, on a Sunday I do that a little bit more, which is boot fair day with Nan and Grandad. So I incorporated a bit of exercise into it. Another thing that I have incorporated into it is time to myself. I know that sounds a bit weird, like someone will be like, that's nothing to do with IVF. Is essential. I can promise you is essential. Like, whether that means like sitting down and drawing for an hour, or scrolling through TikTok for an hour, like I do it. That means I don't talk to anyone else in that time. I don't do anything to do with IVF in that time. I have watch no videos to do with IVF in that time. I may watch them afterwards. You know, you constantly do research with IVF. You constantly try and like understand all the different bits, because at the end of the day, 99% of us are not doctors. We're not trained in this, and therefore like it's new, you know, so you constantly want to learn, and that's great. But you also have to have a bit of time that has nothing to do with IVF each day. Trust me, it helps. And I think that helps with the stress element of it, because I was sitting there and I was like, oh, I'm just writing notes, I'm just looking at this video, I'm just reading this study, and then I realised my day was just 24 hours of IVF, because I live, sleep and breathe IVF at the minute, and that's fine. But like that hour, it does help. So I recommend like taking that some me time. That is one thing that, you know, recently I've tried to add in. Recently I added in pomegranate juice. I use the POM one. You can buy it, for my UK people, you can buy it in Asda. I do believe you can buy it in other shops as well, but I shop at Asda. So it's actually £4. It is not tasty at all. At all. I do believe it's an antioxidant, so it's meant to be good for you, and it's also meant to help with the thickening of your lining. Again, there's no hard research, like definitive research on all of these things. It is more speculation, but I think more than anything, mentally, I think to myself, right, I've done everything I can, you know. But again, there's a line, and you have to please draw this line for yourself. Like, it is, 1, not your fault if it doesn't work. 2, you know, this line exists for a reason. It needs to be there. If you start hyperfixating on it, you will drive yourself nuts. That simple. And again, nothing is guaranteed. But yeah, for me, I added pomegranate juice into it. It is quite... everyone said it was sweet, but I personally find it more bitter. I do about 250ml, and then I'll do about 100ml of water. I don't stick to those measurements. I kind of eyeball it. But yeah, that is what I have added in. No idea if it's working or not. I haven't had a scan since using it, so I don't know if it's actually thickening any lining or anything, but we will see. Question number 2, do you have to start taking vitamins? Now this one kind of follows on from the first question on what you do to start prepping your body. Now, unless you have been told, do not take these vitamins, or again, the same way, the other way, like unless you've been told to take them. I don't recommend like just going off willy-nilly to Holland and Barret and getting a whole bag of bloody meds, because obviously they are still medication. Like, they might be vitamins, but they are meds, and you have to make sure that that's okay, especially if you're like me and have several chronic illnesses. There's different side effects to everything in life, literally everything, and vitamins are no different. They do have their own side effects as well. So please, I'm going to say the ones I use, but please make sure with your doctor that you can have them. For the most part, it should be fine, but you know, it never hurts to check. I had a lot of help from my clinic. I had to find out from a lot of other women, and I think this is why the internet can be brilliant. It definitely has its faults, but it can be brilliant because you kind of learn from other people, and I'm hoping this is what these videos would do for you guys. But yeah, all I got told was that I needed to be on folic acid, and instead of taking 400, I needed to take 800. So I kept that in mind when looking for my meds. I did use Holland and Barret, and I must admit, like, I do believe they have like all different deals, and for me, I bought one lot of tablets and got the other for 99p and stuff like that. You know, money is a massive thing with IVF, and I'll touch on that in a minute because it is its separate question. But like, if you can save pennies, you know, do it. So like I said, folic acid was one of the things that got mentioned to me. So this is a folic acid one. This is specifically a pregnancy one. So I thought like this would be good. This is only 400. There are 180 tablets in this, and they are vegan, by the way. I'll do my best to kind of point out if stuff is vegan or not. I'm personally not vegan, so I don't look out for it, but I will do my best to point it out if I can. So I also knew that vitamin D is a big thing with pregnancy and implantation and stuff like that. So I started that now, and I knew that I needed 800 of folic acid, and I only had 400, so I got this one. So this is a medication that is folic acid and vitamin D together. It is also vegan. There's 90 tablets in here. So this is 10, I don't even know what these measurements are, but yeah, this is 10 of vitamin D and 400 of folic acid. So that's 800 of folic acid and 10 of vitamin D. So they're kind of like them together. Now, again, I can't remember how much these were. I do believe these were $2.99, and this I got for 99p, but you can't quote me on that. Holland and Barret, they change their prices all the time, but there's normally always some sort of deal. So, you know, if you're on there and there's not a deal, wait till the next day, because I guarantee there will be one. So I decided to add in, I actually already had these at home, and I read up about fish oil and that it can be good for different things. So especially like once you are pregnant, I mean, don't quote me on that, but I do believe that it's pretty good for you. So this is cod liver oil, and this is actually meant to help with your skin. It does fuck all for my skin. If anything, I think it breaks me out more. You know, and you know, look, as you can see, I've used quite a lot. These were from Asda. These were not cheap. I would recommend probably getting some sort of fish oil from Holland and Barret, because you're more than likely to get a deal. And again, like, these just don't do a lot. These are soft gel. I am not sure if these are vegan. Does not say. Not sure, but these do have vitamin D in them as well, and they do have vitamin A, so keep that in mind. So they might be doing something. I don't know if they are. What I will say is, if you're getting multiple like different pots of medication, you need to be careful that you like, I didn't realise this had vitamin D in it, I'll be honest. So I'm technically on 15 of vitamin D, not 10, which it should be fine, because I, in the past, have been quite deficient in vitamin D, so I probably do need it. As you can tell, I am very pale. But yeah, keep in mind that different, you know, they might have more than one vitamin in the tablet. This does have 1,000 milligrams of cod liver oil. Again, I have no idea if this is making a difference to my IVF journey. It's making me feel better for taking it, because I'm convincing myself that I'm doing something. And like, you lose so much control in this journey. So sometimes that's nice, you know, just to kind of feel like you're doing something. Now, this is the one that I can't make my mind up about. So my first follicle count was 7 on my left ovary and 8 or 9 on my right ovary. My second baseline was 10 on my left ovary and 7 on my right. So something changed. Now, I mean, your body changes constantly, like, I'll be honest, like, constantly. You cannot get hung up on numbers with IVF, specifically follicle counts, because, you know, sometimes they miscount, and that's fine. But yeah, so this is called COQ10. Now, COQ10 is the one that you definitely need to make sure that your doctor says is okay, because it can have symptoms such as palpitations and stuff like that. I personally haven't noticed it. I do have POTS, which is postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, and I haven't noticed the difference at all. However, I'm one person, you know, just because it hasn't affected my body does not mean it won't affect yours, so please check. But this is actually meant to be really good for egg quality, and so for me, I was not told about this at all from my clinic. I did research, and then I noticed that a lot of people on the support pages on Facebook, which there are loads of them, I have mixed feelings about them, but they all said that they was on COQ10, and I was like, I've never heard of this. Did my own research, made my own decision. I am my own person, and decided that, you know, this was worth a shot. And obviously my follicle count has changed. Whether it's to do with this or not, I have absolutely no idea. I'm not a drug rep. I'm not here to sell this to you. I have no affiliation with this brand or this medication, etc. Like, all I do know is, like, mine has changed slightly, you know? And if it's helped the egg quality, and I know there are loads of stories of women who have taken this and their egg quality has been a lot better and their egg retrievals have been better. So keep that in mind. Again, do your own research, ask your doctor. I know that for polycystic ovary syndrome ladies, that was really hard to say, polycystic ovary syndrome, this isn't necessarily recommended as far as I know. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm one person. I've not read every single bit of research on this med at all, obviously. So keep that in mind. Again, so I know with COQ10, they say to start taking it 3 months before your egg retrieval date. So I started taking it about 2 months ago, and, you know, what I will say is it's meant to be an energy tablet. Like, I don't know if it's specifically just to do with energy. It says on here, energy. This is also vegan, by the way. I personally have felt more tired, and I don't know if that's because I am stressed to high hell or if it's to do with some of these meds. I honestly do not know. It's very hard to say. I cannot say that I've had more energy since being on it. I would be lying. If anything, since taking all of these, I've been going to sleep at a reasonable hour, and I don't sleep. As someone with autism, I do not sleep. Like, I have not slept properly ever, even since I was a baby. Like, my mum is my witness. I don't sleep. And after my partner left, like, I haven't slept properly for about a year and a bit, even more so. But yeah, like, keep that in mind. I will also say for my stoma ladies, because, you know, with a stoma, especially one that is just involving your small intestine, so your ileostomies, so your loop ileostomy or end ileostomy, sometimes medication doesn't dissolve properly and is not absorbed properly. Now, I have had specifically the COQ10 come out as a lump, and I'm not gonna lie, I freaked out. I was like, oh my god, I've missed it for the day. This is what I mean. You have to be patient with yourself and kind to yourself in this journey. major thing, ladies, please be kind to yourself, and same with your partners. Please be kind to yourself, because you know this is hard. No one teaches us this in school. No one expects to go on this journey. It's huge. Like, there's so many emotions in it. So yeah, I freaked, I'm not gonna lie. And what I've started doing is, these tablets are quite easy to snap, so I'll show you. Like, literally snapped in half. I mean, that's ready. Like, I try not to like snap them too much, but yeah, like literally like that. And I have noticed like one bit come through, even still whole, with, and I have a loop ileostomy. I panic a bit. For the most part, they seem to dissolve. It's only now and then that like half will come through now. But yeah, keep that in mind. It's very nerve-wracking, and I'm sure there's like dissolvables. Like, there's so many different like variations of it. You can get soft gels. Like, maybe that will be better for an ileostomy patient. But yeah, kind of keep that in mind. So like I said, like, it's recommended for COQ10 before you notice any actual differences. It's 3 months, but like I said, my follicle scan is slightly different already, and I've been on it about 2 months. So by the time my egg retrieval, it should be aroundish 3 months, so I'm happy with that. I did freak again when I was like, oh my god, 3 months, like, I don't have 3 months. Little did I know that they'd keep delaying my process. But for the ladies out there that are kind of like, shit, I haven't been on it for 3 months, even if you're on it a month, you know, it's hopefully gonna make some difference than no difference, you know. So, you know, if you've got a month before egg retrieval, just go get it and try it now. Obviously, again, check with your doctors, ladies. But yeah, the biggest thing is your folic acid and vitamin D. I was on vitamin C, but I've now run out, so I need to get some more of that. And yeah, so yes, you do need vitamins before you start. They're just the ones that I am on. Again, I highly recommend Holland and Barret. It's so much cheaper. All the information's online as well, and mine was next day delivery, and I think that came to a total of like £13, £15 maybe. So it wasn't expensive at all. I mean, the cod liver oil was the most expensive, and that was from Asda, and I think that was £8, and I highly don't recommend that brand. Like, I really don't, because like I said, it's meant to be a skin one, and it, yeah. But I am stressed also, so take that into account. But yeah, they're the vitamins I personally have been taking. If they work, we'll see. If not, who knows. I will link all the Holland and Barret ones below, and hopefully you guys can get some good deals. Question number 3, where do I start in this process? So this one I get asked a lot, and do you know what? It's kind of funny. I think everyone's slightly different, but yet we're all kind of, even though we do it differently, it's all the same thing, if that makes sense. So I think a big thing for me where I started was, I firstly started researching what it would mean to be a single mum, because at the end of the day, that is what I would be. A single mum by choice is what it's called. And then I looked into what it would mean to be choosing a donor and stuff like that. Now, in terms of IVF, I looked up what the procedure would be. So, like, what happened? Like, where do you start? You know? So, IVF, again, varies from person to person. However, the kind of baseline layout of it is, you have a baseline scan, you have bloods, you or your partner decide like how it's happening. So if you're using a donor, if you're doing it with a partner, blah 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 blah. I can't touch too much on the partner side of things because I don't have a partner to do this with. I can only say what it's like doing it with a donor. So after your baselines and your bloods, you have some sort of consultant appointment. Now my journey was kind of all over the place, so I'm just going to like kind of lay it out and what the usual one would be. So after the consultant appointment, you get a breakdown of cost. You then, if you need an anaesthetic review, you have an anaesthetic review. You do a lot of shit, pretty much. I'm trying to think now, because this is the point that I'm obviously up to. So you do like your medication, so your injections, etc. You do egg retrieval. You then wait for your blasts to grow, or they turn into blasts, and then you do an embryo transfer. So it's important to know that all the different steps of IVF. I think another thing for me where to start is to not read the horror stories, because, you know, I still get people message me and say, oh, I've done 6 rounds and it's failed, and I am so sorry for them people. My heart literally breaks for you, and I'm genuinely being serious, that my heart breaks for you. I cannot imagine, and God forbid, like, I know I ever get humbled enough to know how that feels. I hope not, you know? And same for all of you watching, like, I hope you never have to go through that. However, what I would say is talk about your journey, because it's important. Like, you feel alone. Sometimes it's nice to reach out to other people going through it, but also take everything with a grain of salt, because, you know, the last thing you need to hear going into this is how, like, it's failed for 8 people. It's horrendous. It is important for that information to be put out there, can I just say, because it's all, like, you know, it stops people from feeling alone. But when you're first going into it, it can be so scary. And I would also say do all your research before you start